So today I've got the EVGA RTX3080 XC3 Ultra on the bench, as you can see. Got it running at 100% fan speed already. Got the 12900K with the ROG Strix -A with the Patriot Fine Steel DDR4 as usual. Got it all set up to run some 3D benchmarks. So I've installed EVGA Precision, Unigine hardware bot Heaven. Got 3D Mark Vantage, 3D Mark 11 and 3D Mark. So today I'm going to start with 3D Mark Night Raid, and I'll just quickly show you what the CPU's at. CPU is running 16 cores, 16 threads, so the P core hyper-threading is turned off. And as you can see, we've got a few cores running at 5.6 and most of the others running at 5.3. Then on the E cores, 4.2. So that should get us decent scores in the GPU test because of the high clock speed, but hopefully not be enough to crash on the CPU and physics tests. I'm actually going to start with 3D Mark Night Raid today. My highest score for that so far is 71,000, so that's what I'm going to try and beat. But I think the top score is 76,000 at the minute, and the CPU should play quite a big part in 3D Mark Night Raid, so hopefully we'll get a good score. Right, so I've just finished the first run at stock. Well, with the power limit maxed out and the fan speed maxed out, and you can see it was running around 19 to 1800 megahertz. That was obviously a CPU test, and we've pretty much smashed the first place record, so in one go. So let's see if we can hit over 90,000. I got 89,000 with the 6800 the other day and 95,000 with the 6900 XT, so I'll just overclock the GPU a bit more and see what we can get out of it, because at the moment it's pretty much stock. So now it's decided to reset itself. That's nice. Basically I had it on 100% fan speed and the power limit turned up full, so yeah, that's all. So I mean, voltage wise it does absolutely nothing on a 30 series card as far as I'm aware, so it's pretty pointless changing that slider. So core clock, we're going to try plus 100, and on the memory I'm going to go straight to plus 1000. On the second run you can see we were over 2000 sometimes in the 3D test there, and we hit 62 degrees on the hotspot on the memory. I have changed the thermal pads over on this card as well, which brought the memory temps down a lot. It's running the G-Lid Ultimate pads, which are some of the best. So we've hit 88,500 now, which is a bit of an improvement, but I think we can still get a bit more out of it. So we're going to go to plus 150 on the core clock now, and I think about 1300 on the memory. See what happens at that. So I think I've maxed it out already pretty much. It doesn't seem to be getting any more. Topped out at around 89,480, so we can't quite get 190,000 on the graphics score. I might just run it a couple more times, but I'll just show you the settings in Precision here. So you can see the core clock is just over 2000 most of the time, and that's plus 190. If I go to plus 200 it crashes. And on the memory, tried 1365 last time, we'll try 1380 this time, see if that gets us any higher. But so you can see now, even though the memory speed has gone up slightly, the actual score is starting to go down. This is what happens with Nvidia cards when you overclock the memory too high. The score actually starts to go down before it artifacts and crashes. That's what I found anyway. so there's no point doing any more 3D Mark Night Raid. So I think I'm going to move on to 3D Mark Vantage next, which is one of my old favourites. So I'm going to use the same CPU setup for 3D Mark Vantage. I'm going to run performance first. We need to get about 134,000 in performance, and then on the Xtreme preset, which is that one there, we need to get about 96,000, that's the goal, although a 5950X might be a little bit faster in Vantage, because it does like the AMD CPU, especially Ryzen 5000, so we'll have to see. Obviously this can only use 16 cores, so we're still running 16 cores, 16 threads with no hyper threading on the P cores. Finished the first run of Vantage here. We've got 134,009. Top score's 134,355. So to be fair, I can probably just run it again and it'll be alright. Just going around in circles here, getting 132 to 134,000 all the time, but can't quite get 134,400. So what I'm just going to do is reboot it and try a fresh boot, see if that works. Sometimes that bumps your score up a little bit. And there we go, exact same settings as before. Literally all I did was reboot it, and there we go, 134,490. So straight out of the gate on the first run, we've got the top score in Xtreme, so we've got 97,000. I think the old score was 96,000, so I haven't beaten that by much, but it's beaten. And the GPU was running pretty much right on the edge. It was artifacting a little bit in GT1, so that's that sorted. Not sure what I'm going to do next. Probably 3D Mark Cloudgate, because that's pretty similar to Vantage. So for some reason I can't beat that first Cloudgate score I got, so I'll just go on the details there. There you go, 225,000 on the GPU, which I can beat pretty easily, but I can't get 25,900 on the physics again, so I don't know how I managed that. I keep getting like 82,500 points overall. So that's weird, but that was with the GPU at stock as well, so I don't understand what was going on there. Maybe it's because I didn't have precision opened, I just rebooted it and started it basically, so I don't know, maybe that gives the CPU a few extra points. Anyway, I'm going to move on to something else now. So I've just had a look score wise, and the top score at the minute is 116,900, so I pretty much need to get 117,000, and my top score at the minute is 107,000, so obviously I'm quite a bit behind there, but hopefully I'll beat those on this run, we'll see. It's not actually getting that high FPS compared to the 6900 XT that I was running yesterday, but I'm pretty sure that got 150. So there we go, 115. So that's not quite first place, might be maybe second or third. I'll have to see. GPU didn't look to be boosting that high, so I'll have to see what's going on there. GPU usage, 99%. So yeah, maybe it needs a bit more GPU overclock, we'll see. So I can't get any higher in Wildlife, so I'm just going to test out Wildlife Extreme. This one I'm already second, I think I got 39,893. The guy in first has got 40,000, so in that far ahead. This is purely a GPU benchmark though, because I think it's 1440p or 4K. You can see we're only getting about 300 FPS, just under. So we're not CPU bottlenecked really, this is all the GPU. So we'll see what we can get, but I'm not sure I'll even be able to beat my own score, to be honest. Well, there we go, I've managed it, 41,158, so that's not bad at all. It was pretty easy actually, so that's surprising. Might have helped a little bit after all, getting the new CPU, or maybe it's because I haven't benched this card in a while and obviously the driver's newer and 3D Mark's been updated, so I don't know, maybe it is just a bit better. So validate it and check it's valid. Yep, There we go, 41,000, that's another first place. So score went down that time, so that was a bit of a disappointment, even though I had it clocked a little bit higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the memory back down just a little bit, and I'm going to put the core up to 205, and we'll see if that helps. So with the lower memory speed and the higher core clock, seems to have got us a bit more score. We're at 41,500 now. I think we were just at 41,100 before, so that's good. Just finishing the basic Heaven benchmark, and I've managed to get 11,964.5, which I think is the highest score on hardware, but I think the highest score was 11,300. So smashed that on the first attempt. Excellent. I can even run a bit more core clock maybe as well. So I'm going to bump the core clock up a bit, see if I can get over 12,000, but I'm pretty sure on basic it'll be CPU limited all the way. Well, that's triggering. 11,998. Damn it. Maybe try one more time. So I've just run Xtreme. You can see I've got over 10,600 there, which I think is first place. But you can see the GPU is much more power limited, and it is hitting much higher load as well. It's like 100% for significant amounts of the benchmark there, but he's only running at 1900, so not boosting as high, I assume, because it's just smashing into the power limit again all the time, which is a bit annoying. So I've just done my first run of Firestrike here, scored 41,374, so I'm not sure where that places, but the combined and the physics score are really decent, much higher combined score than what I was getting with the AMD GPU, so that's good to see. So yeah, let's bump it up a little bit and try again. It just shut off like it did with the AMD cards for absolutely no reason. At least I saved that score anyway and got it validated. So the score to beat is 41,789. So my score of 41,411 was the last score I got, so I'm pretty close, 300 points off though. So we'll see, it's just running the combined test now. So I've put a 38mm fan in front of the card to get some more air blowing into it, because obviously this is only a 2-slot card, so it is a bit on the thin side on the heatsink. Could be a bit cooler, but we'll see what it gets after this. Combined test seems to get to about 130 FPS at the end if it's a good run. So that wasn't a good run. I don't think it's going to score as high in the combine this time. Yeah, there you go, only 18,000. So I'm going to have to run that again. So we're just under 200 points away now. Got 41,671. So we got exactly 46,000 on the CPU, so that was pretty skilled. And the score is valid, so that's excellent. If I had LOD, I'd get first place easily, so that's kind of annoying. You can see the average clock there, almost 2100, not too bad. Only 43 degrees average temperature as well, so that was a pretty decent run, but I need a few hundred more points. I don't know where I'm going to get that from, to be honest. Right, I'm literally 60 points away from first place now, and this score's valid. So the other two scores, the top two scores that I was trying to beat, I've only got the top one to beat now. That isn't valid on 3D Mark, however it is valid on hardware boxes used LOD, which is fair enough. Unfortunately I haven't got a version of NVIDIA Inspector which works on Windows 11 with the new drivers yet. I need to find one somewhere, but I'll probably do that later on, because I'm not going to do it now halfway through a session. So yeah, basically 60 points away, squeezed everything out of the card. I just need my combined score and my CPU score to go, because I don't know if you noticed them, but it wasn't quite 46,000 on the CPU, and the combined was maybe a couple of 100 points lower than it could have been. So if I get the GPU and the CPU and the combined to all behave nicely together, which is very unlikely, then I'll basically be in first place with a valid score. The only reason I'm getting first place in so many benchmarks at the minute is because nobody else has a 12900K and I do. So I think everyone, well, they probably have the CPU, but everyone's waiting on either the motherboard or the RAM. So obviously DDR5 is in a bit short supply, and the DDR5 that you can get is rubbish, and everyone went for Apexes and Xtremes and Heroes rather than this Strix D4 board, which I went for. So I've run it quite a few times now, and it basically just keeps either crashing because it's right on the edge, or it gets a lower score. So it's a bit annoying. I'm very close to first place. Might come back to it later, but for now I'm going to move on to Firestrike Extreme. Just run Firestrike Extreme a couple of times and managed to get a good run in. Got over 46,000 on the physics score, so that's decent. I'm happy with that. Running just over 2145 on the peak on the GPU at about 60 degrees on the hotspot, which is good. And scored 22,979. I think the top score's 23,300, which is what my graphics score is, but his graphics score is quite a bit higher than mine. So there we go, managed to get 23,000 overall. Just pushed the GPU up a little bit. Didn't quite get 46,000 on the physics score that time, but went pretty well.